Hello, job seekers. Melanie here, and today I want to talk with you about a key skill. Now, many of you have been sending me messages telling me that you are getting interviews, and that is amazing news. But today I want to talk about a key skill that may be stopping you from actually going from interview to getting that job. Now, if you are somebody that is getting interviews, you are doing the whole first part of this process as a job seeker right. But if you're not being able to land that, and you do have all of the skills and experience that is required for the positions, and you think you're doing really, really great on the interviews, it may be time to check one of your key soft competencies. And this is one that my team and I see that trips job seekers all the times. And it's a really delicate balance here between being somebody who is confident and being somebody that is arrogant. Now, let's be honest, nobody wants to work with somebody who is arrogant. If people want to work with people that they like. And there's even lots of individuals in a book about humble, hungry, smart, and making sure that you're getting people that, in fact, aren't arrogant. But everybody wants people that are confident in their jobs. If you're unable to show that confidence, it's definitely a fatal flaw for some employers. So let's talk about this competency and how you can set your best foot forward when you're trying to show confidence instead of arrogance. Now, remember, the whole time that you're in an interview, you're trying to show the best of you. So you are trying to say, yes, I know this skill, and yes, I have experience doing this. So don't let this video undermine that confidence. But there are some key things that may be pushing you over the edge of going from confident to arrogant. So let's talk about some of them now. And the first one that I want to talk about is you need to use the word I strategically. Now, we've talked about this before in leadership and management videos. It also comes across when people are trying to gauge, is this person confident or are they arrogant? If throughout the entire interview you're saying, well, the company achieved $10 million in revenue, I was responsible for this, and I did this, and I was the one that did this. It's very, very rare that it's one person, right? You're part of a team. You may have people that are working for you. They may have people that are working with you. If you're constantly saying, I, you're giving more of an arrogance vibe than you may want to give. Now, you're going to have to gauge this too based on the position that you're applying for. If you're going for a hunter sales rep, where you are the person going out and hitting the accounts day after day, and that's your job, it's okay to use I a little more. But you're still not alone, right? There's an engineering team, there's a product team, there's a manufacturing and marketing team. There's different organization or parts of the organization that are working with you. Overall, make sure that you're using I when it's appropriate, but not overusing it. Give credit to others in the organization. It also helps show how great of a leader you are and how great of a team member you are. Instead of saying, I worked on this project to get this amount of revenue for the company, it can be, I worked with the engineering and the marketing teams, and together we were able to come up with a strategy focused on the following. There's a big difference, and you don't want to come off too high. Okay, let's talk about the next one that you can do to kind of help. And that is avoiding phrases such as, well, anyone should know that. Well, remember who you're talking with, right? Maybe the person you're talking with doesn't know that key skill that you know, and that's going to come off as arrogant. You don't ever want to come across as condescending or somebody that is, oh, if they don't know it, I'm frustrated with them. It comes off not as confident, but as arrogant. Instead, talk about, well, I do know this. Here's an example of where I used this key skill, or where I used this key task process, or something more focused on that, rather than making a blanket, overarching comment that comes across as condescending. You don't want to be viewed as arrogant that way. All right, let's go through another one. And that is having patience during the interview. And especially if you are somebody that is highly, highly technical. Let's say that you're in a medical profession, that you have a very specific specialty, or you are an attorney that's dealing with very, very specific patents, or an engineer, or scientist, chemist, lots of different things. You probably are way more in depth in what you are actually able to do than the person that's interviewing you. And they are going to be your first gate. So you want to have patience with them through that process. So if they ask you a question saying, well, tell me about a time where you worked on this project with the elastomers focused in this. And you're thinking to yourself, well, gosh, that's an easy question. Well, of course I've done that, or of course I have that skill. Well, that was early on in my career. Instead of going that path, have patience with the person recruiting for you. They're generally not as technically minded as you. And while they are looking for key skills, remember they're also looking for key competencies. Much better to show them, okay, well, let me try to explain what I did in this and how I have experience in this area, than berating them for not having the same level of knowledge that you have. This gets more and more challenging the more technical you are as an individual. I know it, but please have patience. They're not the hiring managers, usually the first person you talk with. And so they're doing the best they can, but they're never going to be an expert in your field like you are. Okay, let's talk about our next one, which is giving detailed answers. Now, how can this come across as arrogant? Well, some people get frustrated during the interview process, and we see this one quite often too, where they're like, well, yes, of course I've done that. I did that years ago. I want to talk with you about this. That's not the right path. That comes across as arrogant again. What you want to do is say, well, let me talk you through and give a detailed, exact example with a company you worked for of, well, for that key skill, I worked with that back 10 years ago when I was with this company and did this, this, and this. And then I use that to move on to this, this, and this. Give detailed answers on the question that's asked. Don't try to set it aside to focus on what you want to focus on. It'll come across as arrogant, and that's not a competency you want to show. Okay, let's cover our last one, which is going to be talk about learnings. So, one of the things when we talk about people that are arrogant, it's individuals who come across sometimes as, oh, well, I know all of it. I know it. I know it. You just need to hire me for the role. And the reality is, you may be the absolute best expert in your field ever. But people also want people that they feel like are going to be part of a team, and people that they can work with day in and day out, people that they're going to want to partner with, people that are going to mentor people that maybe don't have the same level of expertise that they have. And so a good way that you can, if you are one of those really, really talented individuals, that you can show this confidence without the arrogance, is to talk about learnings in your career. We've all made mistakes, right? We've all had times that we thought this was a process and this was a step. And then we're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I can do this better. Or you read some new research that says, this is a great path, and you start going down that angle. The more you can talk about learnings in your career, and don't undermine your candidacy by giving a fatal flaw, right? But say, well, when I first approached this, I was looking at solely from this angle. And as I've gone in my career, I've learned the following other 4 things, which have helped to round out my skills and make me that much better in the role that I'm doing. When you look at giving that kind of learnings of, here's what I, changed and adjusted, it helps to show that you're not arrogant. You don't think you're always right. And in fact, you're willing to look at other ways and continue to be that person that learns. Now, there are other things that you can do to show confidence versus arrogance. If you have other questions specifically about a situation that you've approached, as always, put it down in the comments. We do try to reply to each and every one. We have a whole nother set of videos coming out. So if you haven't subscribed yet, this is a great time to do it. And if, of course, you're not connected with me and the team on LinkedIn, feel free to do that, as well as our other platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and so many more. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.